can get back on track at the moment, and we'll see some live footage coming through. Uh, hey, we're 35 weeks into this, and generally we've had pretty good situations. 36 weeks into this. I think we're live. I think we're live. I think we're back. So welcome to Proteo Weekly. Quick summation of where I was at. I was saying I was a little tired today, being a busy day. Really great conversation with one of my team members in South Africa, Jason. Super productive meeting to start the day. And then I hit it off to a Provisor meeting. As I mentioned, I am a member of Santa Rosa Provisor, which is a national networking group where I'm the group leader assistant. And this morning I was out at the San Rafael group interacting with those professionals, bringing a lot of good people connections, as well as just some good energy in what is a very well-run session. And, even though it got good energy and a lot of motivation to get my day going, I am feeling a little tired. The last week and a half, I've been spending a ton of time with my second job. My first job is running Protea Financial. My second job is the VP of Rec Soccer, which is a great privilege out here in Nevada. We have the honor of putting together a rec season for about 1,100 kids, aged from pre-kindergarten all the way through to high school. A lot of work goes in the background. Big shout out to Brenda, Sally, all the AGCs, those age group coordinators, and all their work they've done to make sure we get where we are. Practices started yesterday. Touch wood, things seem to have gone pretty smoothly. It's pretty difficult to volunteer these days between, the U.S. club soccer as well as the state of California. There's a lot of credentialing that has to happen to make sure that we're keeping kids safe. So it's important stuff, but it does take a lot of work. So I'm a little tired. It's been a long week already. It'll continue to be, but hopefully then we'll settle back in next week. But then the first game starts, and there's always a hiccup or two in that first weekend as well that we all need to deal with. But it is a great privilege to be able to help the community, help the kids, and make everybody successful. But let's get to what we're here to talk about today, and that is sort of Proteo Weekly. And I think if you've been paying attention the last couple of weeks, we have had a little bit of a trend going on. A couple of weeks back, I spoke about sharing your voice, sharing your knowledge, sharing your information, getting online, talking to your team members, talking to colleagues, sharing the knowledge that you have, because the more you can share and more it helps people around you, more it becomes you're a trusted advisor, and, your influence grows. And influence, especially positive influence, is such an important part of who we are as professionals. So I've been really requesting that everybody share their voices. I then rolled through and spoke about speaking up. So sharing and now speaking up is very different, but it also involves sharing, but much more from an intimate standpoint of view. Talking up when you're struggling is an important part to make sure that you are most effective for those people around you. And that could be talking up to a colleague and getting some help, talking to a manager, talking to a spouse, talking to a professional. We all have rough days, rough moments, rough times, and it is okay to ask for help. The wonderful thing, there's billions of people around this earth. We're not alone, and it's not a weakness to speak up and ask for help. Then last week, inspired by a post by, a very respected public speaker on LinkedIn, King Capay, I spoke about the rule of thirds. And rule of thirds is incredible. Like, I started Googling it. I went down a massive rabbit hole. You can apply it to so many parts of your life. But what we've specifically focused in on is the rule of thirds in business. Understanding that you're going to have great days, those mundane, ordinary days, and then you have those tough days. And in those tough days, you got to remember those good and mundane days. In the mundane days, you got to take actions, talk to people, get out there, and try to turn them into great days. And when the great days, we got to use them and build momentum and continue to thrive. We're going to have all those days. And the bad days do come. They do. It's just a fact of life. I wish I could sit here and tell you that every day is going to be wonderful. Not true. The last week was tough for me. I was really stretched. I was jumping between work and second job and work and second job and trying to focus and make sure these things happen and things fall in place. And people around me are stressing and parents are overreacting and coaches aren't getting done what they said they will get done. It was tough. It was a difficult week, but I didn't let that week define me. I did my best. I remembered that there's going to be good times ahead. And for me, what I focused in on the most is that I get to go out and coach this week. Last night, I was able to spend time with my second grade kids, really rowdy, active group of boys. I'm going to have my hands full. It was fun. It was energizing. Tonight, I get to see my third, fourth grade team. I don't know what to expect. I've only coached like 3 of the kids and my own son, so I'm not really sure what this group's going to look like, but that's part of the excitement. Will they be a group that really loves soccer, or are they going to be a group that because my parents says I need to be here? Who knows? But I'm going to be excited to look forward to them because there's going to be moments. There's going to be the joy of playing sports, sharing one of my passions with them. And I'm going to use that energy, their energy, to build momentum, not just in my VP of soccer position, but in my day-to-day position, my time at Protea, to remember that you can have fun, that you can have, bad days, good days, those mundane days. But what we need to remember is when we're in those bad days, that those are the moments when we truly learn who we are and we truly learn how to adjust. In those bad days, that is when we build resilience. In the bad days is when we build resilience. And we need to embrace it. We have to understand that it's not always going to be good. But as true leaders and professionals that are trying to guide people, where we earn our worth is how we react in those tough times. Do we find inner strength and work hard to help people succeed? Or do we cower away and say it's too much? Both are not necessarily wrong. And there's going to be times when cowering away is what feels best for us at that moment. But what we do need to understand is that we're there to help. And days are going to be challenging. It comes with the territory. But we need to do things during those tough times. Thinking about the good times is a great way to do it. Taking a break. Sometimes I can just be working on a really difficult spreadsheet or reviewing something that's really tough and I'm not quite getting away from it. Go step over there. Grab a cup of coffee. Go for a run. Do some exercise. Take a fresh break. Take a deep breath. Maybe even go do something else. Get my brain concentrated on something else. And I'll come back to that difficult topic. If it's really tough, use your network. Reach out to a colleague. Reach out to a friend. Reach out to a spouse. Talk to somebody. Sometimes all it takes is reassurance from somebody that, hey, you know what you're doing. It's not the first time you've done something. It's not the first time you've achieved success. This is not the first difficult moment that you've been through. You've got this. You can do it. Shifting focus is always a great place to do this. And that can happen through conversation. It can be doing different work. It can be getting some exercise. But I think what's the most important in these situations and when you're truly trying to embrace resilience during the hard days is keeping perspective. Remember that the difficult days is just a part of the journey. Remember, you've all seen that picture, right? Where they've got the curve and it's straight up. This is what you think success looks like. This is actually what success looks like. Yeah, it's not a straight line. It's not a linear path. There's going to be the ups and downs. On the good days, don't get too ahead of ourselves. On the bad days, don't get too down on ourselves. Just because we have one day doesn't mean we have to quit. It's all about building resilience, and that starts in the mind. Resilience is always bouncing back in those tough moments. And I'm going to talk to my soccer kids about this, right? There's going to be moments where they're going to have an open goal, they're going to shoot, and they're going to miss. Sucks. There's a very good chance some of their teammates are going to say nasty words to them about it, maybe even laugh at them. That sucks. We talk about kindness to kids, and that's not going to happen, but it's going to happen. Much as I talk to them, it's going to happen. They missed the target, they missed the goal. But that's not what defines them. What defines them is what they do next. Did they run in and dive tackle somebody the next ball? Probably not very resilient way to react. That's letting the emotions get ahead of them. Did they stand up, get back, and defend? Well done. Keep playing hard for your team. Keep putting in the work. Keep trying to get better and looking at the opportunity to take the next shot. And maybe you score the next one. I'm going to jump away from the soccer terms, but think about baseball, right? The best players in the world are batting 300. If you don't know what 300 means, that means 3 out of 10 times you're actually getting a hit. That's not 3 out of 10 balls pitched at you're hitting. That means 3 out of 10 at bats you're actually getting a hit. That's 30% of the time. I'm sure if you do ball counts, it's even bigger, right? Because what is the average at bat? 4, 5, 6 balls? I don't know. Get a statistician. But if you can go up and stand in front of that plate and hit the ball 3 out of 10 times, you are great. Great. Doesn't mean you have to be successful every single time, but you have to get up there, put your chin out, swing at that ball. Give yourself the opportunity. Resilience is not what happens when you strike out. What happens when you come back from striking out. I was watching an episode of Chicago Med last night with my wife. And one of the doctors there spoke about the famous Wayne Gretzky quote, right? Can't score if you don't take the shot. And that's what resilience is getting up and taking the shot. Oh, I missed. Let me get up again and try it again. Now, it doesn't mean running into a wall and thinking I'm going to get through that wall eventually, but it's taking the opportunities ahead of us and trying our best and bouncing back in the moments of failure. We're going to push the sports analogies even further today. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year. They were not undefeated. I didn't even know if there has been an undefeated. There's definitely been no undefeated team in my lifetime. We can jump to the Olympics. We had a world-famous gymnast, Simone Biles. The last Olympics, she had to step away. Struggling. COVID, race relations, pressure to perform, all got too much for her, so she stepped away from competition. She did not let that define her. She came back, she performed at her best, and she won that all-around championship. Resilience, hard work, taking your shot when it comes. Sure, you might not get it right all the time. She didn't win every gold. She's even got a silver in there. She took her opportunity when her came away. And this is what we're talking about when we're talking about the rule of thirds. This is what we're talking about when we say speak up when you're struggling. This is what I'm talking about when I say share your knowledge with those around you. You never know when your knowledge is going to help somebody else. You never know when your courage to speak up is going to give somebody around you the motivation to get the help they need. You never know when somebody's watching how you react in those difficult days to see that that's the example I should be following. And you never know when you take that next opportunity how successful it could be. All of this builds into the situation of building resilience. Resilience is a differentiator factor between good and great. Resilience is what makes you a trusted advisor and somebody your clients can go to and go, I know that this person will be there for me in the difficult times. And if they're unsure, they will ask for help. or they'll talk to me and explain to me that this is the difficulty that they're seeing in the situation. Resilience is an incredible skill to build because it makes you a better person and it gives the people around you the trust to know they can rely on you. You can build resilience. Resilience isn't something that's necessarily just there. It does take a lot of positive mindset, affirmations to yourself. I know I can do this. But there's other ways to do it, right? There's skills that you can put in place. And one of those skills is staying flexible. This is what that rule of third is, what I spoke about last week. Go check that episode out. I think I did a pretty good job of explaining the rule of thirds. But by staying flexible, you're staying flexible not just in your mind, but also in your expectations. Because if you expect every day to be great, you're most likely going to fail. If you expect every day to be bad, it will most likely be bad. Rather going today going, I'm going to try my best, we're going to see what happens, and we're going to aim for greatness. I think it's really important to build resilience. What is necessary is having coping strategies. Figure out a routine. Figure out a way to de-stress. For me, one of the best ways to de-stress, cook a meal for my family. I love making dinner for my family. Not just because I feel like I'm contributing to them, adding some value to the household, but it's also a way for me to just switch off, pay attention to the items in front of me, pay attention to the smells, the flavors, and just forget about everything around me and just focus in on turning those ingredients into something lovely for my family to eat. That helps me de-stress. Create a routine for yourself. Having a routine, I know it sounds boring, but it makes a big difference because it gives you some expectations of where the day is going to go and what you can do during the day to make up for the tough moments. I highly recommend routine. We see it at Protea all the time. Those who have good routines are super successful. When they lose their routine because something's happening in life, it sticks out pretty quickly because things start to drop off. Routine is critical, and you need to maintain it as best as you can. Obviously, have some flexibility. I had flexibility all of last week. I barely worked. Got my work done that I needed to, then jumped into the soccer stuff I needed to. But routine makes a difference. Very good, important topic for building resilience is create a support network. I'm very fortunate to have a wife that I can turn to in difficult times. I've part of Provisors, I've been able to create a wonderful network of professionals that I know I can turn to in difficult times and ask questions, seek advice, just grab lunch with, and just just chat for a little bit. And then I'm also been very happy that I've been able to connect with a lot of people on LinkedIn where I can ask questions, share ideas, or just see how they're doing. It makes a difference. Having people around you makes a difference. The more you can rely on people in the difficult times, the less likely you'll feel lonely and isolated. And resilience is not just what you have in here, but it's what you've got around you. What support do you have? What are you doing in those difficult times to make sure that things are going your way? My fourth tip for building resilience is focus on growth. Not growth of your business, but that is important, but growth of you. Remember that every day and every opportunity in front of you is an opportunity to learn and get better and get stronger. So those tough days are a learning opportunity. Maybe I stumbled. Maybe I failed. Let me review what I did. What could I have done better? What could have I changed? How could I have approached that situation to maybe have got a better outcome? Every tough situation is an opportunity to grow. And if we continuously have that mindset of growth, it will make a significant difference in the way we tackle challenges and the way we see them when we get past them as well. Understanding that there are opportunity to growth makes it just a little bit easier. Failure is never fun, but if you can learn from it, it's worth it. And the last tip for building resilience is have some self-compassion. I talk about kindness all the time, and I talk about kindness to others, but you do need to start kindness with kindness to yourself. Stop all that negative talk. Stop telling yourself that you're not very good at something. Stop telling yourself that you can't do something. That is not helpful. It's not helping you achieve your goals or get through those difficult times. Focus in on be kind. Be kind to yourself. Acknowledge your efforts. Allow yourself to know that you're going to have those off days and that you're going to learn from those off days. I want you to share your knowledge. I want you to speak up. And most importantly, I want you to remember the rule of thirds. 1/3 are going to be great. 1/3 is probably going to be mundane. And 1/3 is going to be tough. And in those tough days, that's when we build resilience. And the 5 pointers that I can give you to help you build that resilience is stay flexible, develop coping strategies, maintain a support network, focus on growth, and be kind to yourself. A resilient individual is somebody that people will trust and look up to. People really do pay attention on how we react in the difficult times, and positive reaction in tough times is how we build our influence and people see us as leaders and trusted professionals. We are all going to have hard days. We're all going to have hard weeks. But it's important how we react in them. I threw a ton of sports analogies. Choose one, pick one, go with it. But if you trip and stumble, dust yourself off, learn from what you did when you fell, and keep moving forward. I believe in you. Believe in yourself. Have a great day. Be kind. Goodbye.